Welcome to Techno Digital School. I've been working with Python scripts in Abaqus for many years already, and I've always been annoyed by this. If you use a Python IDE like Visual Studio or PyCharm or any other, you will see this. You will see that the IDE is not able to recognize Abaqus modules, all of the Abaqus functions, objects, and so on. So we cannot really take advantage of a Python IDE because we will see errors all along our scripts. That's why in all my videos, I don't really use a Python IDE, but instead I use a regular text editor like Notepad++ with some highlighting capabilities, but I cannot really take advantage of something like autocomplete or looking at the documentation while I am writing my own scripts. But now I have found the solution, a workaround to use our favorite Python IDE, like I use PyCharm, and have all these available, MDB, the modules, or whatever else, all the constants, for instance, so that we can take advantage of those auto-completion capabilities while we are writing our scripts, so that they will be a lot easier to debug and we'll be avoiding lots of mistakes while coding. The key point is to install a Python library with which we will be able to recognize all those Abaqus functions for Python. So I will create my own Python 3 environment and I will install there that library. I will do this using conda. So I'll say create and we'll call it py39abq, for instance, and I will install that Python version 3.9. By the way, I will also install NumPy for convenience, but we could install any other library later. Hit enter. Yes. And after a few seconds, we have our environment. So I will say conda activate py39abq. Okay, there it is, our environment. And now the module with which we will have auto-completion and we will have the documentation is, we will install it using pip, is called abqpy. And a couple of things that we have to add here, we have to add -u to have the latest version. And now we have to put abqpy equal, and now we say the version, the Abaqus version that we want to identify. So this will be 2023, and this is the syntax, .star. So now we hit enter, and this library will be installed. And that's it. Let's go back to our Python IDE. So here we are back in PyCharm, and now I want to specify this Python environment so that it will detect all these unknown variables that we have, libraries, functions, and so on. So we can come down here where you see the current Python environment, and we can go to add new interpreter, add local interpreter. I will select conda environment, and here you will have to find the new environment that we have created, which was 39abq. Here it is. Okay, and okay. It will take a few seconds to set up the new environment, but once it's set up, we will see that all these red lines disappear. Now this environment is able to find these modules. This doesn't mean that we can run this script inside PyCharm or inside Visual Studio, but at least we have all these auto-completion features and the documentation available. For instance, here, if we come to constraint sketch or we come to line, if we hold there, we will see the documentation. We can see this snippet from the documentation. In fact, if we come to these dots and we say open, now on the right, we have the documentation, the extract from the documentation for this function line. If we hover on constraint sketch, we will have that part of the documentation for the part as well, and for any other functions. And for instance, now if I say my model dot, I will have all the methods, all the objects, all the classes, everything which is inside the model object. So we could say, for instance, let's create a static step. So we say static step, open parenthesis, And we have that. We have the documentation here on the right. So we will not make any mistakes looking for the right name, if it was uppercase or lowercase. So now it's going to be a lot easier to create our scripts and to avoid all those annoying bugs because of the syntax in many cases. This doesn't mean that we can run our script here in our Python IDE. We still have to run it in Abaqus. So for instance, we would say file, run script. This is the one, scripting pack.py. Okay. Oh, we have an error. Let's see. We have this error, keyword error on master in this line 251. Because this is a very old script that I used a few years ago, I developed with Abaqus 2020. Some of the arguments have changed, but now that we have the arguments here on the right, it's a lot easier to track the problem. The main problem is that the master is now main, and the slave is now the secondary. But now we have all these auto-completion features that help us so much. And after this correction, let's test the script again. So in Abaqus, we go to File, Run Script, run the script. And there it is. Now we see the model generated. The script has run without any issues. And it is this simple. This is how installing this module, this library abqpy, we can have all the auto-completion features in our Python IDE and also the documentation next to us. Great thanks to the developer, Haylin, who did this. And I'll see you in the next one with more tips, ideas, recommendations for your finite element analysis using Abaqus and using Python or whatever other tool we find useful. Bye-bye.